Good evening and welcome to Manila Storytellers. I am your host, B. Canapi. Now, for those who know me personally, you knew it was only a matter of time before I featured comic book artists in the show, and I'm really happy to bring two of the most loved and revered creators in the scene. One of them has a beloved comic strip, and the other has multiple titles to her name. Now, but we're not really focusing on their past works. We're focusing on where their works have turned during this time of COVID 19, particularly on the topic of frontliners. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to present Carlo San Juan and Tepai Pascual. Hi, Carlo. Hi, Tepay. Kamusta na kayo?
Hello, doing
Hey,
good, thank you.
Hindi!
doing fine.
Oh my God, kasama ko si Goddess! At si Carlo.
Oh my God, si Carlo
Good,
yon.
si Goddess! Tsaka, and this
Goddess!
other guy.
Oh no.
Para sa mga hindi nakakaalam na mahal ko si Tepay, hindi lang ako worthies kanya. Hindi malagdag ng baso na aking katawan ko. So, ganon.
What?
Ayun
Hindi ako, hindi ako mahilig sa Borta.
Mm. Eh, bakit yung mga dinod... Okay, never mind. Anyway. Mm. Okay. So, tawag dito. Could you introduce yourselves and the comics that you have created or are creating?
Okay.
Go ahead. Beauty
Yeah,
before
ako,
other things.
Okay.
so, siya ako muna. I made Maktan 1521, Mark 9 verse 47, Noodle Boy, Buhay Habang Buhay, and Alamat na Matibay for children's book. So bali yung Mark 9 verse 47, I made it with Micah Ezawa. Si Micah Ezawa yung writer. Tapos for Noodle Boy, Buhay Habang Buhay, and Alamat na Matibay, I worked with Paula Heras. So,
Pero Tepay, di ba may ginawa kang bagong comic nitong quarantine period na to? Tungkol
yes, it's Duty Ka Ba? It's Duty Ka Ba? Mga kwentong hugot mula sa cardiovascular system. So in short, hugot siya sa puso. Yon.
Okay.
Basta it's a comic strip about sa hospital life. So it's about nurses, doctors, patients, and their interaction with each other. Ganun.
Okay.
So maraming hugot doon.
Sige. We'll go back to that. But before we do, Carlos, so what comics have you worked on?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Dr. Carlo San Juan, and I am the writer and co-creator of M.O.U.S.E, which is an acronym for Multiple Ordnance and Utility Synthetic Entity. And it's a collaboration with Pilar Esber, and I'm the writer of that. And I'm also the writer and co-creator of Immortal Wings, which is about a space bounty hunter and her dragon agent, cyber dragon agent. And I'm the writer of that, and the illustrator is Rod Espinosa.
Nice.
But perhaps what I'm most known for is Callous, which is a comic strip series that is published by a newspaper and is also a webcomic. And it's about a doctor who happens to have a guardian duck. So she's trying to rediscover herself after many years of training. And so it's a doctor-centric comic strip series that shows life of a doctor in and out of the hospital. So
must be ironic to have a doctor-centered strip in this period of time. How has Callous adjusted to the whole COVID-19 situation?
For quite a while, I was a bit too busy to make comics, but once I got around to the whole routine of it, since it is about the doctor experience, I try to show the lighter side of what it's like to be a doctor, the stuff that goes through our heads, the stuff we imagine while we're doing our work in the world of COVID-19. And in a way, it's nice because it's a nice timestamp in the comic strip of the world that we're in right now. So it's an enjoyable, rewarding exercise in spite of what's going on. So it's a good stuff.
Tepay, yung duty ka ba? This is new, right? I mean, you've actually done it
Yeah.
during the quarantine period. So how did this come about?
Yes. Um, de.
Kaya mo yan. Kaya.
My
Ngayon ka pa
God, hindi
nahiya.
ko alam
Here we go.
hindi ko alam kung ano yung huhugutin ko dito eh. Yung pang... De, ganito. Since January kasi, my mom was diagnosed with liver cirrhosis. So, we are in and out of the hospital from January until June. So dahil sa haba nun, of course there's so many emotional roller coasters and dahil ang tagal-tagal namin na malagi sa hospital, ang dami naming na-observe, ang dami naming natutunan, para kaming nag-crash course sa medicine. Ang dami namin natutunan na acronyms, CRRT. CRRT. So anyway, yung mga ganyan. Dahil doon, of course, our own experiences also, yung kung paano kami nakihalubilo with the residents, the nurses, the doctors, and so on and so forth. Siyempre, ang daming kwento. Hindi lang yung kwento namin as patient and relatives, but yung kwento rin nila. Kasi siguro pag wala kami nag-observe lang kami. Parang na-observe ko kasi sila minsan their behavior, how they interact with each other, and how they interact with us, and yung mga experiences nila. Kasi minsan pag nasa room kami and then yung nurse papasok tapos do some things, yung mga quirks nila na napapansin ko, or minsan yung personalities din nila iba-iba, kasi minsan may papasok na nurse na sobrang bibo, may papasok na nurse na sobrang taas ng energy, madaling araw ang taas ng energy, papasok siya, "Good morning, ma'am!" Alas 3 na ng umaga, ang taas ng energy. Yung mga ganon. And of course, syempre, hindi may iwasan na may makikitang cute na doctor or
Ayun.
cute na nurse, mga ganyan. So, yun.
Napakaganda na, Tepay. Yes! Diyos ko!
So yun. So may mga lines na kung asumera ka, assume mo ang ibang bagay, pero hindi yun yung ibig sabihin niya kasi doktor siya. Ganon. So, yung mga linya minsan ni Mel Bayan, naranasan ko yung mga linya na yan.
Diyos ko.
That was, yun. Basically, yun siya. So, like what Doc said, na it's more on the lighter side of things. Kasi what we experience is heavy stuff. And kung sino man yung naka-experience nun, or I mean, I really wish nobody would experience something like that. But we are all in a pandemic now. So a lot of people are experiencing what we experienced. And it's not even COVID yung nangyari sa mom ko. But as I read all the things that happens to the patients of COVID-19, very similar yung iba sa mga nangyari sa nanay ko. Kasi everything are complications. Kasi nangyari sa nanay ko, complications lahat yun. It's not even related, or some of it are not even related to the actual illness. Kasi complications lang lahat. And it's really, really heavy stuff. So that's why my heart really goes to everyone na, alam mo yun, nakaranas ng ganitong sitwasyon. And that's why I'm very maingay sa social media about, guys, wear your masks. Wear your face masks. Kasi once na nandun ka sa situation yun, you really don't experience that. That's why I guess it making this comics also, I of course hindi ko inisip to na I'd use it to convey messages about the pandemic. Ang naisip ko lang, kwentong puso. Landian lang. Yun lang yun. But I saw it as a platform eventually na to like send a message na, guys, wear your face masks. Social distancing, physical distancing, wash your hands, ganyan. Kasi daming pasaway.
I think in a way, that's also what happened to Callous. Callous is a story of a doctor and her guardian duck. Yun pa lang yung premise pa lang na may guardian duck siya. It's certainly a freewheeling, fun, light comic strip that's been very well received. Correct me if I'm wrong, Doc, but your strip and your subject matter has afforded you, a platform to talk about the pandemic and what doctors and frontliners experience on a daily basis. How did you pivot? Was the pivot natural for you, or did you talagang go out of your way to talk about it?
No, it wasn't a natural transition. It took me a while to wrap my head around what I was feeling about everything. But once I kind of got into it, then it became a natural thing. But I believe the first strip that I wrote about that had something to do with the pandemic was when Rianne was helping out in the emergency room, and she realized that she hadn't been home in days, and she's calling up Cal and the other guardian ducks. I'm sorry, I haven't been home. I'm just really, I have to help out because they're being overwhelmed here in the emergency room, and she was breaking down crying while talking to him because the situation in the emergency rooms it's hell on earth. It's very, very hard, and the frontliners who are working there are working at superhuman levels, extra human levels, and having been there before as a med student and as an intern, and not even in a pandemic, I felt when they were pouring their hearts out on social media, and this was early on in the pandemic, and they were telling everyone, please, follow the guidelines, please wash your hands, please wear a mask, do social distancing, stay at home. And they were getting very, very frustrated when their cries were not being heard. I felt compelled to write a comic strip about that. But after that, I kind of got a bit too busy to continue a daily comic strip. But when I kind of adjusted to my new schedule, I got back into it. And, you hear enough about the hardships of this pandemic already from the doctors and everything. I felt I have to do the other side as well. How the doctors are coping with everything, at least trying to cope with everything, trying to find the humor in everything. It's a very Filipino trait of ours as well, to find the humor in whatever tragedy or crisis we're in. And I'm sure all of us have experienced that as well. And that's something that I try my best to inject into the comic, and that's the adjustment that Callous had. But it's a nice exercise for me as well, kind of being in the front line, and I see what's going on, and it affects me, and trying to find the lighter side to everything for the comic. It's kind of therapeutic as well for me, and I hope it translates to the reader as well. And in the newspaper in particular, you get to the comics page after going through pages of It's all this news, diba? Finally, here's the comics page. That's
Yeah.
kind of our responsibility there as well to help lighten stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a pretty bleak newspaper.
That's true.
Yeah.
Tepa, yung sa'yo naman, I mean, the first few steps that I saw was basically this titular character, si Melba, crushing over a certain doctor. Actually, crush seems to be a very understated term. Obsession na yata itong si
Obsession.
Bakla eh. But eventually, you've started doing the PSAs, then you've started doing strips of doctors going on 24-hour shifts. Tapos pagtanggal nila ng PPE, haba na ng book nila or yung sa test nila.
Yes.
I mean, unconsciously, have you also pivoted about talking about the pandemic because of what's happening and because of the subject matter of the new comic you're doing?
Yeah, kasi like yung nabanggit ko nga kanina na I didn't know na mapupunta rin ako sa ganitong usapan na in terms of comics na pandemic yung pag-uusapan or yung buhay nila during the pandemic. Kasi nga, that's why yung mga strips, hindi sila naka-PPE or naka-mask or whatnot. Kasi the world there has like no pandemic. Ay, ganun. But, yun nga, dahil sa mga nangyayari recently, I also felt compelled to like do something because yun yung nararamdaman ko at that moment. Kasi sa totoo lang, marami na akong strips na nakakasa. Ever since June, nakakasa na siya until September.
Wow.
Ang dami ng nakakasa na strips. But meron akong mga minumove na comic strips here and there because of the situation or the recent situation. And meron akong mga strips na, kasi nakaschedule talaga siya Monday NWF eh. Pero pag merong lumabas na something na recent news or recent kwento or recent na parang kailangan ko siyang gawa ng strip. Ganon. Meron akong ganong moment. So, and pag nagkaroon ako ng ganung moment, gagawa kagad ako. Pagkagawa, i-schedule ko kagad siya. I-move ko ngayon yung naka-schedule na iba. Or, i-release ko siya sa Tuesday or Thursday or Saturday or weekend. Actually, yung pinakaunang strip, yung na nilabas, na supposedly hindi siya lalabas, na supposedly hindi yun yung lalabas. That was before June 12. June 12 kasi talaga yung launch nung comics. And then before June 12, that mag-MECQ,
Yeah.
yung Manila. During that time, parang I felt compelled to make a comic strip na telling people na okay, mag-MECQ na, treat it as if it's still ECQ. Huwag pa rin lumabas, physical distancing, wash your hands, wear your face mask, etc. Telling audience na, be careful because hindi naman nawala yung virus eh. Nandyan pa rin siya. So, you really have to act as if it's ECQ. Whether kung anong letra na yan. ECQ pa rin. That's how we have been behaving ever since. Because I have 2 senior citizens in my household at ako yung technically frontliner nila kasi ako yung lumalabas eh. So, talagang ang hirap. Sobrang tindi nung strict rules in doing things. Ako lumalabas ako once every 2 weeks lang. Just to do grocery and buy medicine. That's it. Tapos, other transactions sa online na lang kasi, I mean, ang hirap eh. Ang hirap sumugal. So yun, it's just that reminder of sorts. Tapos nilagyan ko siya ng humor which is yung kalandian ni Melba. Kasi yun naman talaga yung that's the
That's the
parang
core.
that's the core that's the core reason why this comic is born.
Diyos ko. Itong
I swear.
Itong si Melba, walang ka-chill-chill. Talagang,
Wala
Alam mo,
talaga siyang chill.
inaabangan ko yung step na si Melba bilang tatalunan na lang yung doktor. Iniintay ko yun eh. Feeling ko inevitable yun eh.
Ano?
No?
Yung iniintay ko na lang yung step na si Melba bilang, yung talagang nakakapin na lang yung doktor, tatalo na lang, yung nakayakap na lang siya ng gano'n, talagang.
Oh my God!
I'm feeling ko not a question of if, it's a question of when.
Kaso lang may ibang doctor din na na-attract ng kanyang attention eh. So parang torn na siya.
Tepai, saan hospital ba ito? Ang gagwapo ng mga frontliner at ng mga doktor? Diyos mio.
Sasabihin ko na lang sa'yo mamaya.
Next question. Bakit walang babae?
Ano naman?
Meron.
Si Melba.
Bakit ba ayaw nyo kay Badet? Babae naman si Badet.
Sige.
I heard na may magkaka-female na doctor soon. So, that's...
Yes. Nakita na ni Doc Carlo.
Ay. Like anyway, yung mga frontliners kind of made the news sometime last week nung
Yes.
they made the call to put Metro Manila back on ECQ because hospitals were
overwhelmed. Yeah.
Overwhelmed. Thank you, Doc. Tapos the reaction of the government to it is okay to not be too harsh about it, less than savory, and kind of put frontliners on the defensive. How do both of you feel about that?
I was heartbroken. I was really heartbroken. Especially nung narinig ko I watched the press con. That was a press con, right? I watched the press con, and to watch them beg was really, really heartbreaking for me. Because they shouldn't be begging in the first place, in my opinion. But they are. They were. They still are. That's why marami naman sa atin ang nakakaintindi ng sitwasyon. Marami sa atin ang nakakaintindi ng sitwasyon. That's why it's so frustrating to hear some people na not just government, but some people telling our doctors and telling our nurses na pagbutihin nila. Sorry, but that was something I cannot swallow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even a doctor. I'm not even a nurse. I'm a person. I'm someone who's not in medical field, but I felt what I have is empathy and sympathy for these people because I've seen how they work. Naka-confine kami sa hospital sa kasagsagan ng ECQ. Pumasok ako sa ER. I saw the situation there. Pumasok pa ako sa isang private hospital. So medyo mas maayos. Mas maayos ng konti. Unlike yung ibang hospital sa war zone talaga. Ako swerte pa ako nang nakita ko yung maayos na sitwasyon. Paano pa yung war zone? yung maayos na nga na sitwasyon, it was really scary. Because as an ordinary person, papasok ko sa ER, makikita ko yung mga tao na nandun, naka-ventilator, and for me, naranasan ko na yung nanay ko mismo, nag-ventilator siya noon.
Oh, sorry.
That situation was horrifying for me. So what more kung ikaw ang nandun mismo na nagsasaksak ng tubo sa tao at ilang tao yung sinasaksakan mo ng tubo. Can you imagine that?
I can't even imagine.
Kung ikaw nga na relative ng patient na makikita mo na sinasaksakan ng tubo yung relative mo is how do I, it's parang breaking, parang basta yung it's so it will break you. It will break you.
Yeah.
What more yung nandun ka mismo. Kasi technically kapag yung relative ka, syempre isa-shove ka sa sides, 'di ba? Kasi nandun sila lahat eh. Pag nag-code blue, di ba? Code blue. Sorry, I had my share of code blues.
Yeah.
It's not pretty actually. It's not.
No,
but
it's brutal. Yeah.
It's really brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Nanay ko nag-code blue eh.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Nanay nag-code siya.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Nag-code siya. Bumagsak yung BP niya to 50/30.
Oh my God.
And I was here actually. I was here sleeping. Ang nandun yung tatay ko. Tapos, kasi, basta, syempre, di ba, pag relative, pag exchange kayo ng shifts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, night shift ako. So, umuwi ako, natutulog ako, and then I woke up, tatay ko, nagbabang ng pinto ko kasi nakalock. Tapos, and then, ano ginagawa mo dito? Tapos, kasama niya yung brother-in-law ko, and then, okay, sit down. Okay, what happened? So, doon pa lang, nung sinabi pa lang sa akin yun, nanghina na siya, manghina ka talaga. What more nandun ka mismo? Minsan, nakikita niyo, minsan nagsa-status ako, right?
Mm-hmm.
May nag-code blue sa tabi namin, or may nag-code blue sa kabilang kwarto. I can, isipin mo, nasa kwarto kayo, right? So, nakasara yung pinto. And then, maririnig mo na lang nagtatakbuhan yung mga tao sa labas. Magtatakbuhan yan. Ganyan. Tapos, bigla kami maririnig na, Mami! Ganyan. So, maririnig mo lahat yun, ha? Yun.
Yeah.
So, can you imagine times 10 of that in a room sa ER? Ganun yun. Ganun yung scenario. It's not pretty. It's not normal. It's not normal. That's why that's why yung mga messages na nakikita ko na mag-resign na lang kayo. O dapat ganito, kung napapagod na kayo, mag-leave.
Maging police na lang if you want more money.
Parang, guys, guys, pag nag-resign sila,
saan kayo pupulutin?
saan tayo pupulutin? Hindi lang kayo yun eh. Hindi lang kayo yung affected. Tayo yun. Lahat. Kasi kung nag-resign ba tong nurse na to, kasi pinag-resign mo, kaya mo ba siyang palitan? Pag pinag-resign mo ba tong doktor na to, kaya mo ba siyang palitan? Hindi. Diba? That's why I'm frustrated, I'm heartbroken, I'm angry. I'm angry. Kaya yun. Kaya parang it's no, I can't even.
Yeah.
I can't even. So ilalabas ko na yung frustrations ko kay Badet. Siya na lang yung magsusungit for me. Si Nurse G, hindi pa nag-i-splok ng mga kung anik-anik niya, pero malapit-lapit na yun. Pag nakarinig pa siya.
You have an interesting perspective because you're actually seeing from a third person point of view how the medical crew or the healthcare crew are trying to cope with everything. And I think although you did focus on one facet of their coping mechanism and really focused on that, but it's a very interesting take, and I really enjoy seeing it because it's true. And
I heard.
Yeah, the stuff that you see in Tepai's comic is like 100% accurate.
Uy, pero meron akong consultant.
Okay.
Kasi syempre, because of course, before ako maglabas ng kung ano-ano doon, syempre papacheck ko muna, di ba? Baka pwede ba to?
Pangalanan mo na, Tepay. Kaibigan naman natin lahat eh.
Ayun, yes. Oo, kasi nagpapacheck ako madalas kay EK. Kay Elena.
Yeah.
Oo, kay Comic Ninja. Nagpapacheck ako sa doktor nga siya, di ba?
Mm-hmm.
Tapos, nagpresenta naman siya na I can check whatever you want me to check. So, medyo nahihiya nga lang ako, but, I mean, kaya minsan nagpapacheck din ako sa ibang doctor friends. Kasi nga, uy, tama ba to? Uy, ganito ba to? Pwede ko ba itong i-release? Kasi baka mamaya may sensitivities, So, yan. So, careful din naman ako sa mga ganyan. So, nag-a-ask lang ako how, if I'm gonna release something like this, ano bang dapat ko sabihin pa? Just to,
Yeah.
So, kaya minsan may mga makikita kayong disclaimers. May kitang dramatization lang to, ha? I mean, hello, sino ba naman ang mag-iisip na 24 hours lang tutubo na kagad yung buhok na mahaba, di ba? But, I really have to put a disclaimer there because baka merong mag-isip na, sobra naman to.
It is an exaggeration, pero totoo.
Wait, speaking of that, I mean, latching onto that, Carlo, ikaw naman bilang doctor, na I know that you're not doing ER stuff, but you're still in the hospital. Yeah. But how does the situation make you feel?
Well, going back to your previous question,
yes.
When the government response was announced, yes, I was frustrated. I was heartbroken. Even before that, before the president gave his speech, there were some politicians that were already saying stuff. And I felt a bit angry, a bit put off because I've had friends who died fighting this pandemic.
I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, thank you. My friends, mentors, colleagues, they've died, and I felt it was a great disrespect to them for them to say the stuff they did. Although, of course, later on they took back what they said. But at the time, I was very, very frustrated. But I had hopes, that the government would respond positively to the request of the medical community. And when the actual speech or press conference of the government was when it occurred, surprisingly my reaction was, let me rewind just a little bit. The reason why the medical community was asking for
oh my God,
a rollback to ECQ was that because the situation in the hospitals was getting so dire, they were getting overwhelmed or getting close to the point where they would overflow and explode or implode or whatever. they wouldn't be able to respond appropriately to the patients that are coming in. And no one wants to have the choice to decide on, should we treat this person or the other person? We want to treat everyone, of course. The medical community, through their observations, saw that whatever national plan we had for the country, it had to be better, to say it nicely. It had to be better. So we needed to go back to ECQ and to re-strategize, sit down with the government. The medical community would sit down with the government, help each other to plan stuff out, and proceed from there. Have a new strategy. It's like, that's why they kept using the term timeout. In basketball parlance, if you're playing basketball and things are not going your way or getting murdered by your opponent, call a timeout, talk it over, re-strategize, then go get back into the game and do things differently. So that's what the medical community was trying to say. And then when the government had their response, to my surprise, my reaction was more on, how did it get to that? How did the government see what the medical community was requesting that way? And so I was more confused than angry, or like, it didn't make any sense. We did get to MECQ, so that's something. And but then the stuff that happened after that, like people were saying, pagod lang yung mga doctor at nurse na yan, just want to rest or magbakasyon or whatever. Like, no, we're tired. Yeah, but this is our duty. We do this. This is what we do. That's not the point. The point is, we need to re-strategize moving forward. We need to call a timeout, stop the progress of whatever's happening, stop the worsening of the national situation, and re-strategize and move forward. That was the point. But that somehow escaped a lot of ears and minds. And so that's the frustrating part for me. And I was a bit confused on how that was the perception. So that was my frustration. I'm not really angry or anything at that point. I was just more confused. Like what? I would like to think that how the appeal was brought forward was clear. I don't know. Maybe there was someone who tried to explain to the president what went on, what the appeal of the medical community was, and maybe he heard a different thing from what the appeal was. The point of the appeal was. So I don't know, but something happened. But anyway, here we are on MECQ. So it is my hope that we take that opportunity to sit for the medical community to sit with the government and the point of the whole thing, to strategize and everything, and find a way to move forward after this MECQ. When we go to GCQ again, to work, the medical community should work with the government, with the police, with the soldiers, with the media, to get the proper information out and to work. We just need to all need to work together, and march forward in one cadence, in one step, instead of this and that happening in different directions. That's all we need to do, and we'll win if we do that.
It's really
that
heavy.
was really intense.
It's really heavy. I
It's
swear.
really heavy.
As in heavy. It's heavy talaga niya. It's not
That's
a
why
joke.
we have comics.
That's why we have comics.
That's why we have comics.
We'll get through this with a smile.
Yeah.
We'll try to entertain and I just go. What? I can't.
This is Mountain Dew, by the way.
Yeah, sure. This is Coke and Sprite, whatever. Ako naman, parang yung first, when I heard the government's response, I was absolutely frustrated and angry over the whole thing. That of all the things happening, they decide to latch on to thoughts of everybody rebelling or getting mad and everybody getting defensive. And I'm like, no, they just need a break, man. Kailangan nilang they need a reset. And that's not what they say. It's so frustrating. And like similar to Tepai, I'm not a medical practitioner. I'm just somebody from the outside. But even I have an idea on how bad everything is. So Yun.
Yeah.
I share your frustration, Tepai and Carlo. It's horrible, honestly. Ay, wait.
Yun nga yung nangyayari. Hindi talaga nakakatulong yung mga sinasabi ng ibang tao about, whatever they want to say. I mean, yes, freedom of speech, right?
Right.
But, but, I mean, okay, fine. Entitled sila sa opinion nila. Well, fine. Okay lang yan. Empathy naman. Ano ba? Kasi parang paano kung kamag-anak mo yung nurse? Paano kung kamag-anak mo yung doktor? Paano ikaw yung nandun? Diba? All you have to do is ilagay mo yung sarili mo sa sitwasyon. And then, it's a whole another perspective. Diba? And with that, you will have understanding on why these people are asking for help. At saka, basta, it's hard, really. Yung mga nakakausap kong nurse, 3 buwan na silang hindi umuwi. Mga ganon. 3 buwan na silang hindi umuwi. Kasi nga, they don't want to bring COVID to their families and to their communities. Alam ko na magsanay kayo sa sleepless nights. Ever since med school, sanay na kayo sa sleepless nights.
It helps with making comics as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yun nga, speaking of sleepless nights, kasi nga, the reason why I brought that up is because nung nasa ICU yung nanay ko, this was January, Feb. Basta before pa ng COVID, nasa ICU. Feb. That was Feb. Nasa ICU siya. And basically, siya yung pinaka-toxic dun sa area na yun. Sa ICU at that time. Siya yung pinaka-toxic. Critical siya for 5 days. 5 days siya critical, yeah. Between us na magkapatid, may family kasi yung sister ko. So, ako na yung nandun. Naghihintay for, kasi syempre pag critical kasi yung pasyente, sana nandun ka para kung may tawag or may kailangan decision na gawin, makakapag-decide agad. Yung for example, the first day na nag-code yung mom ko, sister ko yung nandun, and it was her permission na, kailangan, ma'am, kailangan na po siyang i-ventilator. Kailangan na siyang i-intubate. So that was a heavy thing. And nandun din siya nung siya rin yung nandun din siya nung when she was asked na, ma'am, kailangan na po namin siyang CRRT, the 24-hour dialysis.
Oh my God.
Yeah, kasi nag-fail yung kidneys niya.
Oh, really? Oh.
Multiple organ failure.
Organ failure, yeah.
Oh, sorry, man.
Yeah. So yun. So that was the decision. And the whole time na critical si ma'am, nandun din yung mga residente. Kilala na namin yung mga residente na nandun eh. And sila yung nakatutok doon. So kung puyat kami, puyat din sila. Yun. So, usually I see them, although itong ICU kasi nito, may room kasi sila doon. May room. So if kung kailangan nilang umidlip, pasok sila sa room. Pero, if something is happening, then nandun sila kagad. Kami naman, ako, nandun ako sa hallway kasi yung ICU doon, kasi may room for yung mga naghihintay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ito patient side ha. Nakakaloka yung mga nakakaloka yung mga nandun kasi so it's a room, maraming chairs. Tapos nagte-teritoryo sila. Kumukuha sila ng 4 to 5 chairs. Tapos yun yung hinihigaan nila, nilalagay nila ng gamit. Doon sila, as in camping.
Yeah.
Tapos puro teritoryo sila doon. So pagpasok ko doon, kasi syempre doon kami pahihintayin, di ba? Pag pumasok ko doon, parang magkakasakit ako dito. So nandun lang ako sa hallway. Nandun lang kami sa hallway. And then binigyan na lang kami ng upuan ng isang nurse. Tapos sabi niya, ma'am, upo na lang kayo dito. Sige. So, and dun sa area na yun, may parang wall. Parang maliit lang na wall na naka-usling ganyan. So, nandun lang kami nakasiksik. Tapos, gaganyan lang kami. Tapos sabi, tulog na. Pero, yun. But, yung punto ko ng storya na to is, na-experience ko yung hirap na magbantay sa isang critical na tao na hindi ko alam kung ano nangyayari. Yeah. What more kung alam mo yung nangyayari? Alam mo kung ano yung pwedeng mangyari. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Na kapag ganito yung nangyari sa isang tao, ano yung possible na pwedeng mangyari? And during that time, the possibilities, and merong mga possibilities, pero iisa lang yung pupuntahan. Umabot kami doon na that's why that week was really heavy, very, very heavy for us. But yeah, yun, that's why I can feel the pagod that they're feeling. And what more ngayon, kasi yun, isang pasyente lang. Kami, isang pasyente lang. E paano kung ikaw nandun, tapos 10 yung pasyente mo, ganun?
Ay.
Sorry.
But
No.
This feeling that we're all having now, that's the truth. That's the real stuff that the people in hospitals and medical centers around the world feel, and that's kind of the reason why I make my comic, because it's a coping mechanism for myself, and I hope that my work on it would help other people maybe understand, or maybe other health professionals to cope with just the visceral stress that and
it's really
and,
stressful.
To get through it all, because we'll have to go back and do it again the next day.
Amen. Well, working off what you just said, Carlo, I mean, a lot of people turn to entertainment, in particular, in this case, comics, to distress, step away to work. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you as creators also do comics because it's your expression, it's your chance to distress, to express yourselves. So
absolutely.
I get it, and I get it, especially after talking to you at length about what's happening now. Your experiences and how it's manifesting in your comics, it's so evident. But how do you, how do you balance naman between, just doing all the doom and gloom stuff and trying to balance it with something light?
It's a tough job. It's tough to do. At least with my experience, I don't know the truth behind it, but they say that the brain is it's two halves, and one is the creative side, one's the science side. And I find myself every now and then having a difficulty switching from one to the other. Somehow I'm able to do it, but it takes me a while to get into that zone, and then when I'm there, I'm sure Tepai has felt it before. You don't want to get interrupted because you're there now. But when I live with kids and a wife, and sometimes they need my attention, and so nababreak talaga yung. So it's it's a time management issue, but it's also an internal issue to try to, I can't even find the words just to get into that zone. But apart from that, I'm pretty much just manifesting into the comic strip my own coping mechanism to respond to the stuff that I experience. And you have to find the lighter side. You have to find the brighter side. it's if you're, as the saying goes, if you're in the darkest room in the world, even just a little bit of light will make a huge difference. And you look for that. You look for that while you're doing your thing. Even just something as simple like someone doing a nice thing for a total stranger. Sometimes I see that, and that's just wow. Your faith in mankind is restored, and I latch onto that. That inspires me to get through the day. And you see, when you look for it, you see it a lot more than you would expect. All these nice things that people do. People complain a lot about life, about how horrible stuff is. But you look around, there's good stuff to see. And that's what I latch onto. And that drives me to keep going because, as I said earlier, my faith in humanity is restored by this person. I will push on, and push on to find the common humanity and work for a better day and stuff like that. And that's what fuels me, at least.
Well, in terms of how I balance things out, since alam mo naman, since nanggaling ako sa advertising, alam mo yan, B. Yeah. Since sa advertising naman na ako, gumagawa na ako ng comics. So, siguro nandun na sa akin yung time management thing. Na kapag, pag work, and then pag time for making comics. Of course, bawat thing na kailangan mong gawin, unti-unti mo rin siya ipapasok somewhere. Kasya pa siya dito. Sige, ipasok pa siya dyan. Ganun na lang. Ganun na yun. So, basically, ganun lang para lang mabalance lahat. In terms of the content, in terms of balancing content naman, meaning the stories, alin ba yung ikukwento ko, alin yung hindi, kung masaya ba o malungkot. Well, yung essence naman ng duty ka ba is dapat masaya lagi. It should be a lighter side of things. Kasi nga, I've been in that heavy situation, and I'm looking for, just like your life, I'm looking for something to latch on to. And may nakita. May nakitang light.
Goddess? Ano ba yan?
Oh my God!
Pakibulog na lang kung anong hospital yan, ha?
Hindi, kasi ganito.
Okay.
I know the feeling because I met my wife in
Oh my God!
Oh yeah.
I wish I could say the same.
I'm going to assume this Doc L is a resident.
How'd you know?
Ay. Itutuloy natin tong conversation na to pagkatapos nito. Kasi gusto ko ng details.
Oh my God, ang dami.
Oh my God. Hindi ko akalain. Sa bagay, bakit ko ba in-assume na hindi autobiographical ang duty ko?
No, you have to write what you know.
Mother.
And she knows.
Wait lang. merong mga contributions.
Okay.
Okay.
Hindi lang sa akin galing lahat. Hindi sa akin lahat ng stories, may mga contributions,
Mhm.
ang mga friendships, ang mga relatives, some are made up. But,
I'm sure.
yung, mga-
10%,
yung,
ganon.
yung, yung mga lines, char. May mga lines na based on real life. Based on real life situations. May mga situations na based on real life experiences. And lumiliit na yung boses ko. And
my
I
God.
am really, and I'm happy that hindi lang ako ang nag-isa. Hindi ako nag-isa. Meron akong mga kaliga. Oh my God. Yun.
Oh my God.
So, yeah. Oh my God, ang init. Oh, naka-aircon na ako. Oh my God. Shit. Anyway.
Okay, maiba naman tayo. I'm sure nainahin kayong dalawa ng ang daming events na nag-cancel, especially the events that all of us look forward to. Comic-Con, Comiket, Indiket, Picos. Sayang
Yeah.
Tingin nyo, kailan
Yeah.
kaya, namimiss ko na mag-convention, kailan kaya tayo makakabalik, no?
Well,
Yeah. When it's safe.
when it's safe. When it's safe.
Yeah, because I'm sure organizers wouldn't want to take the risk.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The thing that I my and this is just my personal thing, but one of my biggest regrets from this pandemic was the cancellation of Pulp SummerSlam this year, because Iron Maiden was supposed to be here, and then like I was one of the first to buy tickets because I was that excited, and this was back in last November, and then when the quarantine started, I was like, 1 month lang, they're not gonna cancel. they're not gonna cancel Pulp SummerSlam. I'm going to see Iron Maiden live, and no, I did not. But yes, I missed the comic events. Fortunately, we still had Comiket last February.
Yeah, that was nice.
That was the last event I've had. Yeah.
Wala ako doon.
Oo nga.
I wasn't there.
Wala ka doon? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I wasn't there. I was in the hospital.
Oh, true.
Oh no, sorry, man.
Naka lang.
But it was good. It was a good event.
It was. Grabe, no? Major props for Comiket na taking the risk and going to Mega Mall, and apparently it paid off. It paid off very well for them.
Yeah, and they were very careful with everything. Everyone that came in, they sanitized their hands. People were there. That's the thing. Everyone who was there was working together to make sure that everyone was going to stay healthy.
I heard, yeah.
I really admired that. There were hand sanitizing stations.
Yeah.
I had my own hand sanitizer in my table that everyone could use, and the people who were sick were wearing masks, because that was the protocol at the time. And I really admired it, and it paid off. No one there got COVID, at least at that time. No one got COVID. Yeah. And it was very heartwarming to see everyone working together like that to ensure that everyone would be safe. And because of that, maybe we could have another event, as long as everyone who attends has that same mentality to be careful, to ensure everyone enjoys the event and stays healthy. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, ako, I'm looking forward to the time that we can actually have a semblance of normalcy. Kasi I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm not gonna kid myself. I think even if things are declared normal, there will be a
Mhm.
certain repetition for people to actually go back and go into crowds again. So I think
Mm.
it'll take a while before we all recover mentally from this. So yeah, but I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
just yeah.
you just have to look at some countries like Japan, for example. They didn't really go into any lockdown. They just have a different way of treating each other. Um, they have it's already in their culture to have the social distancing at least when
Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah.
can, and if they're sick, they do wear a mask. They're like obsessively clean. It's a I guess it's just a change for ourselves and for our own way of life. And if we are able to get to the level of some other cultures, maybe
Yeah. Feeling ko that's going to happen. I remember way back in early 2000s when SARS hit Hong Kong.
Mm,
I have a total. The Hong Kong that I used to visit prior to SARS is so different from the Hong Kong that I've seen
yeah,
after SARS. I mean, all of a sudden everything was spick and span. All of a sudden everybody was nicer and clean and whatever. So I guess that should
yeah.
happen then dito. Ay
I
nako.
wasn't I was in the front line during
During SARS.
SARS.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was in the ER, and it's nothing like it is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know it's tough.
Yeah. I guess
Nakakamiss ang cons, actually.
uh,
Parang nakakamiss mag-hug. Nakakamiss mag-hug.
sob
I'm a hugger.
You have to be like Melba when you see him again. Just i-tackle mo na. Kahit nasa
Oh my
palengke, okay
God.
lang yan.
sunggapan
Oh,
mo
no.
na.
No.
It's worth the slap. Go.
No.
Ay nako. Ay nako. This has been a roller coaster of a conversation. Something I both enjoyed and dreaded at some points. And I'm really thankful for everything that both of you shared in this one and so long arc. Is there anything that any of you would want to promote at this point in time?
Like and follow Duty Ka Ba sa Facebook and sa IG. Kasi yun lang man yung currently na gumagalaw na title for as of the moment. So after 4 years of hiatus,
Ay nako ka.
finally may lumabas.
Ay tamang-tamang na dito ka na. Ano na po mangyayari sa Mark? At sa Maktan? Ay,
Tapos na yung Maktan.
oo nga pala. Mark.
Si Mike ang makakasagot yan.
Ayan. Sige. Joke.
But wait, where can people find your comic?
Wala. I mean,
No, what do they have to search for on Facebook kanyari?
they can search for Maktan 1521 sa Facebook, Mark 9 verse 47, or they can follow Meganon Comics sa Facebook and IG. Pero, dahil Duty Ka Ba lang yung online comics, yun lang yung gumagalaw. And hindi naman essential ang books as of the moment. So walang gumagalaw sa ibang titles. Maktan 1521 is still available sa Visprint. I think meron pang a few copies left. So if you want or if they want a copy of Maktan 1521, they can just contact Visprint directly to get their copies. I think konting na lang copies.
As for myself, you could find my comics at callouscomics.com. That's CALLOUS comics.com. You can find the same on Facebook at Callous Comics. And you can also find M.O.U.S.E at mousecomic.com. and Immortal Wings in Comixology. And I was going to say something else. Oh, if you want copies of the books for Callous, you can get them through Secret HQ.
Secret HQ.
Yeah, go to them. They'll deliver the comic right to your doorstep, and nothing better than that.
And so with that, okay, thank you very much, Carlo and Tepai.
No,
This
thank
has
you.
been
Thank you
one-
very much for having
Salamat.
us.
This has been one heck
Salamat
of a
po.
conversation. May sasabihin ka pa sa amin pagkatapos nitong ano. Ayun. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat, Tepai at Carlo. Thank you for taking time out to talk to me. I'm really happy to finally feature comic artists in the show. Now, please, for everybody watching, don't forget to follow WanderManila's social media pages on Facebook and on Instagram. And as always, Blender Media has been here to provide technical assistance for the show, and without them, the show wouldn't be possible. Please follow their Facebook page and their YouTube channel. Once again, my name is Canapi, and this has been Manila Storytellers. Good night, everybody.